know you heard me on the radio. Flexing, she loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio. Flexing, she loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K.
So, Night Watch fans, welcome to all the new subscribers we have out there. We are happy to have you as listeners and subscribers to Night Watch. Remember, this is available as an audio podcast as well, and welcome to everybody listening out there in the audio sphere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Podbean, Audible, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. I got to hand it to my man Aaron Brightman today because I listened to his reaction to the game, and there isn't much I can say that can top or, be any more comprehensive than what Aaron said, regarding the state of the program, the state of the school, and the way fans are feeling right now about this team and what's going on at Rutgers. He rightfully points out we have no athletic director. We have no president of the university. We have no head of legal counsel. Some of those positions have not even been posted. And yes, people are at the helm, so don't worry. It's not like nobody's doing the jobs of those people. There are people currently in position, on an interim basis or an outgoing basis to handle the day-to-day administrative tasks. But when you don't have a clear direction in such a future-looking position, it really damages the morale and the direction of the program, because we have things going on with Rutgers athletics in terms of revenue sharing, NIL. There has been a lot of talk about getting some kind of general manager in here to obviously it's almost like salaries these days. Get a general manager to figure out, what certain players are worth, what they can be paid, what money we have, how much, and how that should be spread out amongst a roster. Do people want to hear that love college sports? I don't think so. I mean, I think it's kind of college sports. People love it because you're watching athletes who are also students at the school you were a student at, or students at a school that is your state school or a local school, and they are going to matriculate and then become alum just like you. And so there's some kind of like deep-rooted connection to the athletes on the field and to the victories against other schools and to, you as a professional or as an adult and your networking and your family. And when colleges kind of just become sponsors, for lack of a better term, of one-year athletes, you're just sponsoring a team because the athletes aren't going to matriculate by and large through your university. And you're just basically finding a way to field a team as entertainment for alum and students. The connection and the nexus is a lot different. Now, I don't think that's going on with the football program under Coach Schiano. It is going on with a lot of other schools with football, but Coach Schiano has figured out a way to, use his NIL strategically to keep guys in the program, continue to be a developmental program. I don't know that that's feasible in basketball, quite frankly. I just don't know that that's feasible. The way the basketball landscape is, if Steve Pikiell can figure out a way to do it, I think that's the only way he can succeed. But you're essentially just getting a team of mercenaries together every year, a brand new team, and you're going to battle, and that's difficult. So Rutgers goes down at Purdue on senior night. Tough place to play. I don't think anybody expected to win that game, but they go down in epic fashion, 100-71. Triple-digit scoring for Purdue, and this is, a Rutgers program under Steve Pikiell that has long prided themselves on defense. And to be demoralized that badly on what you say your bread and butter was. Now, I understand that this season, no one ever proclaimed that defense was the bread and butter of the team. So I'm not trying to insinuate that this particular iteration of the Steve Pikiell program is a, defensive, prideful thing. But Steve Pikiell's identity as a coach and the way the program has gained an identity has been defense. And that speed limit thing, we don't want guys to get over 65. The fact they drop 100 on us, triple digits, and we're not even close at 71, just barely under 30 points losing this game. I think just really drives home where this season has gone, what this season is, and what this program has become this season. Just an demoralizing drubbing of Rutgers. Not one player on this team was even close to double-digit rebounds. Not even close. Bailey and Harper double-digit scoring, but not much. 12 and 13. Not saying that's pedestrian, but for their numbers, it could be pedestrian. Somerville closest with 9 behind them, along with Martini. Just nothing that you want to see. 32% from 3. Purdue just shooting an excellent 50% from 3. Out-rebounded by 10, 40-30. 6 steals for Purdue, only 3 for us. 9 turnovers each. Other than that, not much jumps out from the stat sheet other than just nobody on our team rising to the occasion in any meaningful way, and not just in the scoring column, but in the rebounding column. Defense just abysmal on so many levels to get scored 100 dropped on you and get outscored that way. So it wasn't even like it was necessarily a track meet. And I think it's just indicative of where this season's gone. Now, back to program building. Well, first of all, we'll just say, you have Minnesota. It's the last game of the year. You win that game, you lose that game. No matter where you stand, you have a decent chance of getting in the Big Ten tournament, so we have to live through some more misery. Now, again, I've said it. I said it a few weeks ago. I hope I eat crow. I'd love for this team to go on a magical run in the Big Ten tournament. Maybe they're saving up their gas, saving up their energy, because they know it doesn't really matter what happens in the regular season anymore. For the Big Ten tournament to go and clinch a seed by winning the Big Ten tournament. And I pray that happens, and I'll eat crow. But that's just not... That's more of a disclaimer, because I know if that happens, instead of being joyous, people will come back here and try to throw crow on my plate and throw egg in my face. So I put that as a disclaimer, but that's not what I believe is going to happen. I have no illusions, and I don't think that's even within the realm of possibility, really. This team has clinched a losing regular season. And I want you to understand, that's not just a losing Big Ten record. That's a losing overall record. So the team that was hyped for 2 years, a year and a half, whatever it is, as being this epic recruiting class that people should be excited about. Look who we have coming in. We have Dylan Harper. We have Ace Bailey. It's going to be out crazy. Buy your tickets now. Book your trips now. Get the hype in. Get the sneaker deals. Let's get rid of our old sneaker deal because these guys want to wear Nike. You can't have Adidas. Let's get just you know what? Let's not have a deal because we gotta protect. These guys want what they want. The whole hype train. Oh, you better buy more than one ticket, Mr. Crane. You're not gonna be able to get in that place. You're gonna sell them at a premium. Yeah, okay. One of the best decisions I made this whole year, and I haven't made a ton. One of the best decisions I made this whole year was not buying an extra season ticket this year. It was dropping down my level of season tickets because that would have not been worth the money. So we clinch an overall losing record. And the depths of how abysmal that is are hard to fathom or hard to describe right now. How much of a huge disappointment that this season has been. And when you look at a guy like Rick Pitino saying, I don't want even 5-star recruits from high school. You can't win with freshmen in a league filled with, these guys in their mid-20s. I think part of that is on the fan base and the media sphere. I wasn't per se always convinced that these guys coming here was going to catapult Rutgers to the most memorable season ever. I did think it'd be much better than this. I did think it'd be a lot better than this. And I don't think that these results are acceptable. I just don't. But I think the media sphere is a lot to blame when you can't expect true freshmen to make you the best team in a Premier League like the Big Ten or, make you an actual national title contender. But you should expect 2 freshmen of this ridiculous level of talent that are going to go in the top 5 in the NBA draft you can expect to at least not have an overall losing record for the season. And we didn't even get that much as Rutgers fans. So this was a catastrophic, epic failure, no matter how you slice it, unless they go on some miracle and win the Big Ten tournament. Anything else, it doesn't matter. You clinch a losing overall record in the regular season with these two talented players, and it's not acceptable. And you're never going to replicate that level of recruit again. So it is what it is. But I think it's just indicative of how brutal and frustrating it can be to be a Rutgers fan, that in what was supposed to be maybe one of the most memorable, most hyped up seasons in our lifetimes for basketball, me as a podcaster, like I haven't even, aside from going on the OHIO podcast early in the year, and shout outs to Boggs to having me on there, no one in the Big Ten or anywhere else who has cared about inviting Larry onto any shows or talking any. I'm an afterthought because Rutgers is an afterthought, and that's fine. I mean, Rutgers becomes an afterthought to me since I have other things to do in my life. I have other obligations. I have other interests. So Rutgers takes a much more of a back burner when they're this pathetically bad versus expectations. But everybody's I'm an afterthought. Rutgers is an afterthought, and it's cruel reality for Rutgers fans and anybody affiliated with the university that the year that's supposed to be the most success, epic hype, what happens is our AD goes down in disgrace and makes a fool of himself and the university. We go through turmoil with the president saying he's going to step down, no AD, and then you have this debacle on the hardwood. And I don't want to rope football into this because by all accounts are doing well in many levels, but that season was not a success compared to what it should have been either. And I don't know about what's gone on with our defensive coordinator hire. So I just really think that this academic year from late August, to now has not been kind to Rutgers fans. But I guess that's what you got to expect if you're a Rutgers fan, because that's what we've been conditioned to live with. So this model for Rutgers, this mercenary thing, this pay as many guys, and Steve's done it 2 years in a row now, I've seen, where he's going out and getting veteran guys from lower level leagues, and he's paying them, and he's bringing them in as a hodgepodge that they look on paper like they can score. They look on paper like they're good shooters. They look on paper like they have good offense. But when they get to the Big Ten, they're hit or miss, they're spotty, they're sporadic, and they're not consistent. The only one that he took a gamble on in that regard was Cam Spencer, who wound up being an excellent player, obviously, and then going, to UConn and doing what he did with them the next year. But he was also a little younger. He wasn't just like a graduate transfer, somebody at the end of their career. But this hasn't worked well. And it's a different era, too. You go back to the Jacob Youngs of the world, and yeah, he had to sit, and it was a different era, and he played like a couple years with Rutgers on a different team, and he integrated. It's just that in this world where you plug and play, it's just going to be hard. I don't think per se that Steve Pikiell has some inherent debilitating flaw that makes him just an inadequate coach in every situation, and that's why we failed this season. I think the fact is that just like any position, just like any job, any person, anywhere, you have a certain skill set. You can be good at a job because of a certain skill set, and it might work with one organization or in one space and not work so well in another organization with another space. And the fact is that Steve Pikiell is good at coaching defense and building a cohesive team primarily via the defensive side of the ball when he has guys who he has time to develop over the course of several seasons. And when he can recruit gritty players, scrappy players, who he sees the ability in to learn defense first individually, and I've said this in prior shows, first individually over time, and then as a team over time, the team can become so good defensively that it's stifling, and that being good at that aspect of the game makes the team formidable. Does it make it national title contenders, Final Four contenders? Most seasons, most of the time, probably ever? No. Does it give them a chance to find their way into the tournament and maybe win a few games in the tournament? Yes. But that level of defensive coaching and that philosophy requires several seasons of development for players. And what we're seeing now is a landscape in college basketball where you simply do not have the ability to coach that way, at least the way Rutgers has approached it, which is let's get some premier guys in here. Let's let guys walk away who didn't work out quickly, and let's bring in guys who scored elsewhere. That's not Steve's strength because he's not a great offensive coach. There's nobody on his staff that coaches offense very well. There's nobody on his staff and nowhere in his philosophy to find offensive players the right shots or to keep offensive players consistently producing. It's really just, hey, hit or miss, hot and cold. If a guy's got it this game and he's running ISO ball and the other guy's got it and we're moving and we're just in the flow and we're feeding off the defensive side, we have a good offensive game. And if we're not, we don't. That doesn't work when you don't have that defensive development that you've relied upon for all your successful seasons. And so what I see with Steve Pikiell is one of two things. It's a fork in the road for the program, for Steve as a career, for everything. He's either got to find a way to do what Schiano's doing in the basketball world, which is probably much harder, and recruit guys from a young age, bite the bullets. And this is going to be hard because he's already going to be under a lot of pressure next year. Bite the bullets and go through developmental seasons again, coach guys up to the point like under the Geo Baker, Ron Harper, Caleb McConnell years, and get them to a level where they're formidable defensively and you can execute your philosophy and game plan and keep retaining guys instead of recruiting guys in the portal, more similar to Schiano. Or you got to move on because this game just isn't for you, because I don't think there's ever a world where Steve Pikiell masters this type of basketball where you're forming mercenary groups and going out and trying to be an offensive team with high scoring ability. I don't think there's ever a world where that works for Steve Pikiell. So he either goes back to his roots and the program and the school allows him the time to do that, or he moves on or the school moves on. That's honest. Now, it's not going to be next year per se, but it's going to happen in the next few years because this is not sustainable and something's got to give. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think a lot of fans don't even want to hear that there is any fork in the road. I think they're just like, forget it, it's done. And I understand that too. But you got to figure out where you are as a school too. If we're not going to have the NIL or the infrastructure to form these mercenary teams, then it's really not beneficial to us to try to go that route. You might as well stick with a guy who's more defensive and run that. And I'm not making excuses for Steve Pikiell. I'm not a Steve Pikiell fanboy. I do appreciate what he's done for the program. I do think he's a decent guy, but I'm not a Steve Pikiell fanboy. There's been a lot of blown up expectations, a lot of defensiveness, a lot of things on the court that I haven't loved. So I'm not that guy at all. I'm just giving you the realistic picture here about where this school and program is. And if they can't even get a GM or an AD or a president right now, what are the odds they're going to be able to figure this all out and go the right route and get a coach? I don't know. But that's where I see it. That's where it stands. And it's a frustrating day for all Rutgers fans, a frustrating day for me. But we move on and we continue to cover the team and we continue not to invest too much of our emotional stock in it because it's not going to work out well for us. So we all have families, we all have jobs, we all have lives, we all have things to do. So everybody out there, I hope every other aspect of your life is going very well. It's always a pleasure to speak with you, even on down days like this. Shouts to the other people who cover the team. You also get me through some rough times. It's been a rough season. It's been a huge disappointment. I made peace with it months ago. And I hope those of you who still hadn't made peace are finally coming to terms and finding some peace and just realizing that it's over. And we'll talk football. We'll talk basketball. We got some collabs coming up. This Night Watch continues to move on. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do me a favor. It takes a second to click that subscribe button right here. Just click it on your way out. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's joined recently. Remember, it's available as an audio podcast. And if you're listening on the audio podcast, come on over to YouTube when you get a minute and click subscribe on the YouTube channel. That drives the bus. I will talk to all of you guys soon. Let's beat Minnesota for what it's worth. Everybody going to the game. Hey, at least enjoy it. And we will all talk soon. Larry K is out.